Hey, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. This is my orchid collection. Grows in the tent that I built in my apartment. I want to show you how everything's doing. Mostly Cattleyas, a few other odds and ends in here. And just love how the sunlight comes in and lets me see what everything truly looks like. The lights that I use are the Spider Farmer SF1000s. I have two of them, and they are meant for growing cannabis. They are very powerful lights, so you can see about the distance that I have them from my plants. Of course, Cattleyas, as you know, highlight orchids, and they seem to really be thriving under these bright LEDs. But the downside is the LEDs, they don't produce a really true white light. So the plants underneath the LEDs look a little bit orange. So it's so nice to have the sunlight in the morning to see what everything's really looking like. Let's take a look at what's in bloom. This is Cattleya Rex. And this one came out really small. The reason being because it had no roots when it started growing this spring. It's managed to grow some more, but let's have a look at it. It's actually quite small. The flowers are much smaller than the other Rexes, but that's okay. Very cute. Still very pretty. And I kind of like the miniature flowers on it. Even though I think next year its flowers will be regular sized. Just didn't have a whole lot to go on this year. Over here we've got Cattleya maxima. I destroyed the flowers with by spraying disinfectant on them while they were still opening up, but color's still nice on them, and I'm really happy about the way that they opened up. They're really nice open star shape to the flowers, and have 4 on each spike. One of them fell off already, but just excited to see that for future blooms. Hopefully we'll have some really nice ones. And oops, sorry about that. This is Hal, Bulbophyllum echinolabium, working on a flower here, and he's got a spike growing back there as well. Would really like to see some new leaf growth on Hal. Not quite sure why he's not growing leaves. I'm wondering if it's because it's too dry. On this side of the tent, the fan blows. You can see the side of the tent kind of wiggling back and forth. The fan blows right here, and it kind of dries out everything in this area. And I'm just wondering if he gets too dry, and he is a water-loving plant, but I don't know. Not sure. This plant, this is a Cattleya Rex that I mentioned last week that I found some brown rot in my collection. This was it. It was right in there. You can see where that little root is at the base there. There was, that whole pseudobulb was starting to rot. And normally what I would do is cut out the whole part of the plant that was rotting, but the thing was, it was right in the middle of the plant. So I would have to cut the plant in half, cut off the front part and cut off the back part to cut out all the rot. So I thought I might do a little experiment. I might regret this, but I just cut the plant off. I just cut the rotting part off at the bottom there, right there, and then I'm just gonna let it go. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see if the rot will actually go ahead and spread into the other bulbs. The reason, now normally I wouldn't do this, but there was something different about this rot. It wasn't progressing very quickly. Usually it progresses really fast. It wasn't progressing very quickly, and I thought, well, maybe the plant, maybe it will stop. I don't know. So, I don't know, could be a huge mistake, but I'm just gonna let it go. It is working on a new growth down here at the bottom of this growth. You can see there's another little bud down there starting to grow. Oops, right here. So we'll see. How did this happen? Well, I actually have a Path Michael Kopowitz, which it gets brown rot every year. Every year when the temperatures go up in the spring, it rots. And part of the plant rots away, and the rest of the plant continues growing, and then the rot stops, and then the plant grows on, and then the next year the thing happens again. Well, I made a huge mistake. I know better than this, but I did it anyway. I used my tank sprayer, and I was spraying water on this rotting plant. Normally, I'd take it to the sink and water it separately, but I was getting lazy and I just started spraying it just to see what would happen. And guess what? I started seeing brown rot popping up on different plants up top here in the collection. I didn't tell you guys about this because I was kind of embarrassed about it, but I need to own it. So, for example, one of my new plants, my Signotis Cooperi, I noticed a big brown spot of rot on it. I had to cut off that leaf. Then a few weeks later, I noticed brown rot on that Cattleya, and they were both in this kind of vicinity, where if I had been spraying that rotting path down there, the little particles of air and bacteria possibly got spread around the tent. So that's why I soaked everything in Fisan a couple weeks ago, because I was like, well, I need to see if I can stop this. So there might be other instances of rot popping up on other plants that I just haven't found yet. But for me, the lesson is if you spray a plant that has rot on it, you are spreading that rot all over the place. Especially in a tent like this where you have closed circulated air. I try to change the air out by opening the tent up and letting fresh air come in, and open the windows in my apartment so I get fresh air in, but can't always do that as much as as much as you would like. The Catasetums, I'm really happy to say, let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. Momodia Jumbo World, it looks like it's about done growing in terms of size. Now it's going to start putting on some thickness down here. You can see the bulb. It's going to get kind of thick. And it's starting to get those ridges. Really excited. Last year it had a really great bloom on just one bulb. This year it's just one bulb as well, but the back bulbs are bigger. I haven't, knock on wood, had any issues with spider mites yet. Hopefully that's not going to happen. Last year they were infested with them. Only 2 more months. 2 more months. We got to go 2 months. These usually drop their leaves in October. So end of October, if we make it to the end of October without any spider mice, we should be good. The other new Catasetums growing okay. And I wanted to talk about the Bulbophyllums as well. So I did a massive dividing of this Bulbo Lovely Elizabeth and Bulbo Medusae. And one thing that I noticed, I kind of knew this in the back of my mind, but I hadn't seen it in action for a while. Bulbophyllums, unlike Cattleyas, at least the Cattleyas that I've grown, will root. Yeah, after you divide them, they can still put out roots from old bulbs. That's a big plus, especially when you break a plant into several pieces. The old back bulbs can still push new roots. Now, in my experience, at least with my Cattleyas, my Cattleya rexes especially, that does not happen. The old bulbs will not push new roots. Once they push their roots, they're done. But my Bulbos, both my Medusae and my Lovely Elizabeth, are pushing new roots off the new growth, but also off the old back bulbs, and that's really, really good news. That helps the plant recover more quickly. I don't think I'm going to get blooms off of... I might get one bloom off Lovely Elizabeth, off of a Medusae this year, but I don't know. I might not get anything. It's okay. Last year we had a beautiful, beautiful display. Alright, my eyes are more and more focused on this plant, Cattleya José Martí. 4 new growths, I showed you last week. I did the flashlight test on this new growth. which you put the flashlight back here and you can see through the new growth and you can see whether or not it's got a sheath in it. It looks like it does have a nice sheath in it. And from what I've read, these plants can bloom in October, November. I've also read they bloom in the spring, so I don't know. But I'm really excited about José Martí. Reason this plant is particularly exciting for me is that its parents are, one of its parents especially is one of the most celebrated white Cattleya hybrids ever made, Cattleya Bulbos. And its other parent is a 50% Bulbos cross. So this plant, if my math is correct me if I'm wrong, I think I could say it's 75% Bulbos, and that's cool in itself, but it's actually a new cross made with the old Bulbos and an old Bob Betts to create, hopefully shuffle up the genes a little bit, and hopefully we're going to come out with something really spectacular. But in the end, it's a big, floofy, white, fragrant Cattleya, and that's exciting. That's exciting for me. What else? I showed you the seedlings last week. Everything's really looking good. These especially, I'm really excited. They've hit that critical mass. So when you get really tiny seedlings like these, right? Or even these that are even smaller. My finger for reference. Where's my finger? There it is. These, they take a while to get going. They really do. But once you start getting actual true pseudobulbs, like this guy's putting out a true pseudobulb, right? They just kind of take off, It's like first true pseudobulb, second true pseudobulb, third true pseudobulb. They just start really ramping up, provided they're getting the right care. So I'm really excited. This one is an FCC clone. This is Cashins, Triony Cashins. And you can see the newest leaf compared to the older ones, much bigger. That is great. Hopefully with every new growth, we're going to have a bigger leaf, and that's going to get us to the adult blooming stage quickly. In terms of orchids, quickly, so 2 to 3 years. But really excited. I think the grow tent, my whole collection has been in the grow tent now since September of last year. So we're coming up on a full year in the grow tent, and I think at this point I can safely say it's been successful so far. It does have its drawbacks. Obviously, when you have pathogens and insects and all kinds of stuff in a small space, it can get out of hand pretty quickly. But luckily I am really vigilant. I'm always looking out for something strange, discoloration, something moving, and so I really try to stay on top of it. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the way things are growing. Some of the plants look as good as they've ever looked. So grow tent really seems to be good choice for indoor growing. And with that, I think that's all I've got for you guys today. I appreciate you tuning in. And we'll go over and look one more time at Phalaenopsaurus, and then I'll let you get back to your weekend. There we go. So it's all opened up now, and white fowl, you just can't beat. Just can't beat those white fowls. So nice. So beautifully arranged. Love it. Alright guys, that's all from My Green Pets this week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.